Well, we also put our reporting on North Korea to U.S. Congresswoman Young Kim. She's a Republican from California, and she chairs the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on the Indo-Pacific. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us. I just want to start by getting your thoughts on some of these testimonies that the BBC has been gathering from inside of North Korea, that there's a lack of food, a lack of supplies, a lack of medicine, and that many people there are either starving or on the brink of starvation.
Well, first of all, the stories of people in North Korea starving, it's nothing new to me. After having worked over 2 decades as a congressional staff, working with a member who paid a lot of attention to these issues, and I worked on a lot of the North Korea human rights issues and had the opportunity to meet and interview a lot of the North Korean defectors. I have actually even went out to the border to meet with those defectors, and I heard these horrible stories of how they were starved to death, seeing their families dying because of famine, and how the North Korean regime is treating its own people, and the reasons why they are crossing the border, risking their lives. This is nothing new to me, and I'm just so sad that the last 3 years or so, because North Korea was closed due to COVID, we have not even been able to see anyone crossing the border. Obviously, it wasn't easy to begin with, but it is so close. We don't know exactly how many more people died as a result of COVID. I'm sure it was also affecting them, but that was really heartbreaking stories, and I'm so happy that you are doing a special on this one to give them the platform so that they can tell the story of what it's like to live under the oppressed regime like in North Korea. The dictator there, Kim Jong-un, has no desire to stop their nuclear ambition, even at the risk of human rights violation. They don't care about their people. They're only interested in increasing their nuclear ambition, and they will do it at whatever cost.
Now, Congresswoman, the U.S. has cooperated with North Korea in the past to combat famine in the country. You're the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on the Indo-Pacific. What would you like to see the United States doing to help bring some humanitarian aid to the country?
Well, first of all, the United States has for a long time, starting with the 1992 agreed framework, provided humanitarian assistance, light water reactor, energy assistance, economic assistance. This was in hoping in exchange for North Korea stopping their nuclear weapons program. Look what happened over 2 decades plus. They got everything. We got nothing in return. We need to live with the reality that North Korea is not going to stop their nuclear weapons program. We need to treat North Korea for what it is, not what we want North Korea to be. That includes complete, verifiable, irreversible denuclearization of the North Korean peninsula, and also demanding that North Korea regime improve on its human rights violation that we're seeing outside. So without that, it has to be both. It cannot be one or the other. We have to talk about nuclear weapons, but at the same time, talk about human rights.
Sorry to interrupt, but what would you like to see North Korea do and bring to the table in terms of some sorts of negotiations in order to maybe pave the way for the desperately needed supplies for the people of the country?
Well, first of all, we have a dictator who doesn't care about what his people are going through, even starving to death, keeping them in the prison system, even the gulags. I know it still exists, but they need to improve on that and make sure they work with the United States, get international community to come in with the humanitarian assistance so we can help those individuals from starving to death, first of all, and start opening up with the international world. Work with their big brother, China, for example, open their economy so that from within they can build their economy to the level that their people would not go starve to death.
Now, despite those reports of a lack of food in the country, Kim Jong-un spent an estimated $500 million on dozens of missile tests just last year. What should the White House be doing to try to prevent this buildup of weaponry in North Korea?
just this year alone, North Korea has fired more missiles than ever before. And then just last night or this morning, we saw the news reports of North Korea firing 2 more short-range missiles. We need to tell our government, our Biden administration has to send a strong message that you have to stop doing this and work with the United States. Otherwise, there will be more sanctions against you. And we just want our government to send that strong message. We cannot just tell them, North Korea, Kim Jong-un, come to the table anytime, anywhere, under no condition. We need to put condition there. You need to stop your nuclear weapons program. If our international community is willing to provide the humanitarian assistance so we can help stop more people in North Korea from starving to death, then you need to work with us.
Our reporting also shows that there is growing discontent within the country. How much trouble do you think the current North Korean regime is in?
Well, North Korea regime, obviously, it's really hard to tell what's really going on inside. So we have to rely on the testimonies and the stories of the North Koreans who are lucky enough to defect and come out. We have to tell them the story. That's why I introduced the North Korea Human Rights Act. Included in that will be asking the State Department to appoint a special envoy just to focus on human rights issues. And it also includes funding for helping the broadcasting. We have a lot of North Korean defectors who are utilizing the radio and mediums such as Free North Korea radio stations operating out of South Korea and Hong Kong and other places to tell their story using their voices, to tell them what it's like to live in a free world. No one understands what it's like, those of us who live in freedom, but they can tell that story. And I tell them about North Korea and South Korea. If you want to see what it's like to live in a free world versus in the oppressed country like North Korea, just look at South Korea at night versus North Korea. That's the stark difference between freedom versus oppression.
Congresswoman Young Kim, chair of the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on the Indo-Pacific region.